All right, everybody. So I'm going to talk about the buffered reader today and how does it work, kind of what are some of the key features of it, and hopefully just kind of give you an idea of how this might work. So we're going to start with it. We have this data file here. It's a text file. It just has these, 3 lines of code here, 4 characters in each line. And we want to be able to manipulate this in some way. Maybe we want to look through this file and see what's there, or maybe we're looking for a specific code in there. Maybe we want to do something with this. So first thing we need to do is we need to take this file from the computer and load it into our working memory, because right now it's kind of stored on our hard drive. We want to pull it into our actual functional memory. And so what we're going to do, if you want to learn more about that, take CS2, because that's a lot of computer hardware stuff in there about loading into memory. But we can imagine we're going to start with a data file like this, our data.txt, and it's going to have a bunch of stuff on it. And what we need to do first is we need to take this whole data file and we need to transfer it. We need to give the working memory and Java access to it, which is what we're going to do with a buffered reader. And maybe I'll go through a little more details on this in terms of maybe a little more specifics in a minute, like how do we declare this? Maybe I'll do that at the end of the video. But just basically, first off, we want to add this to our buffered reader. So we have our data. It's now loaded into the buffered reader, and we have access to it, and we can do stuff with it. So now it's kind of living within our Java code. It's like you had that data within our Java code. So what we need to do next is, okay, we have all of this, all of this data. This could be a very long text file or something. We want to work through line by line and separate this whole big text file into just one section at a time. So we can do that with the, if our buffered reader object is called let's call it BR, we could say BR.nextLine. I think it's next line for this. Yeah. Oh no, actually not next line. Next line is for using different types of these. Because you could actually do some of the stuff with the scanner, but for our purposes, the buffered reader makes a little bit more sense. So read line. What read line is going to do, it's going to do 2 things. First thing, it's going to access this first line of code, access this first line of data, I should say, and it's going to return that to us as a string. So if we use the command string text is equal to, and maybe we can oops, there we go. Now I can figure it out eventually. We could say string text is equal to br.readLine. Now text is going to be whatever's in that first line. But it's also going to have, so it's going to just extract that first line of code or the first line of data and then store it as a string. But it's also going to have one additional feature. Whenever we run br.nextLine, it's going to do that, but it's also going to move this kind of pointer down to the next object. So anytime you call readLine, it's going to return you a string, and then it's going to move on to the next spot. So you need to be really careful about where you use readLine, because if it might advance on to the next line of data, and if you're not ready for that, that could produce some problems in your code. So you have to be really kind of mindful of that in your code. And I'm going to give you kind of some structure that you can use to make this happen for you. Let's see. So I think that's it for now. I'm going to keep this video short, and then I'm going to do another video more about the syntax. How does the syntax work? Why do we use try and catch? And then just kind of what does the syntax look like for this? So I'll keep this one short, and I'll see you in a minute.